Secondary research differs from primary research in that it's not original research. Instead, you report on the research of others. This usually comes in the form of books, articles, and websites. We'll explore a couple of resources that you can use for this secondary research, especially as it pertains to your industry reports. You'll be using secondary research to provide background information on the industry or profession that your group has decided to research. When many people think of secondary research, they first go to the library. Our school library is great, and there are a lot of resources that you might not be aware of. I'm going to touch on only a couple of them, but there are way more that you can explore on the website itself. First, if you go down to services, you'll see that there are lots of ways that you can borrow or renew a book. You can even use interlibrary loan to get books from other places. There are a lot of resources there. There are also, over here, research guides, including course guides. Now, when our class starts, you'll see our course guide will be down here under writing. It's not here right now because I'm making this video before the class starts, but it will be a writing 3312 and it will have my name here and written communication and business. If you go to this course guide, you'll find many of the websites that we'll talk about today and some of the resources prepared by our librarian, Travis. But again, just so you know where to find it, it's under Research Guides and then Course Guides. Another place that's very useful to look at is Library and Research Help. Here you'll find our librarian and other librarians that you can reach out to. Also, my very favorite resource, Ask a Librarian. This is a chat box that's available during certain hours. Right now it's not, it's a little bit early in the day, where you can just chat a question. It works live. You just click a button and you can ask any sort of question, whether you're looking for a resource or if you don't know how to use the library or if you don't know if it's open on a certain day. I love this live chat feature. You can also use the phone to call or text the librarians. You could also schedule an appointment to walk in, but these resources are especially useful for online folks. Calling, texting, and using the live chat Ask a Librarian. Now, let's get to researching. You can find a lot by using this one search feature. This is a little bit like your search bar on Google or Yahoo or something like that. You can just put in search terms that you would in any of those. So say you wanted to see how accountants write. Now, these search terms are going to give you different results depending on how you put it in. So if you put accountant writing, it might look different than accounting writing. But let's see what we get here. You can see that there's a lot of resources here for accountants. There are handbooks to learn how to be a better writer in accounting. You can see that there are also articles published in journals about accounting. So here we can find all sorts of things. This one sounds really good. The Writing Accountant. That looks like a useful one. This one's a biography. That one's not as useful, perhaps. Oh, this seems like a gold mine. Must accountants' writing be so dull? So this sounds really interesting here too. So there are a lot of resources that you can find. You might have to scroll down a little bit. Writing skills for accountants. Some of these are really good. Writing tips for accountants. So you might have to scroll before you can get them. Remember, we had to get through all of these ones that didn't seem like they were very useful, or maybe they were a little bit too specific. So when you find something you want, I do want to draw attention to this. If you're off campus, you will need to log in with your UHCL ID to access some of these things. But then it will act just as if you're online. Never pay for an article. If you get stuck and it says that you have to pay for it, be sure to contact the librarians through the chat with the librarian feature and ask them how you can get a hold of the article. Never feel like you have to pay for it. Okay, so now we found all of these different accounting and writing things. We see here that it says the article has full text online. So we can just click the article. It will make us log in. And here is the full article itself. And it even has, on many of these, the citation of how you're going to cite it. So this is really great stuff. It says who they are, so you can see if you want to trust them, and it has, here's the article and where it was published. So this is a great resource. Like I said, sometimes you have to do a little bit of scrolling, but there's a lot of great resources here that you and your group can use to bolster your article. This looks like a really, really good one too. Okay, I'm going to show you another couple of other places where you can use. On the course guide for this class, you're going to find ONET, or as I like to call it, 1T. ONET is a really excellent occupational search. And what they do is they look at actual people in the career and ask them what they do, and then aggregate those. So say I wanted to put accountant in here, right? Here they have accountants and auditors, and bookkeeping and accounting clerks. So I'm going to go to accountants, like actual accountants. And it will have all of these things in it: tasks, technology skills, knowledge, skills, abilities. And you'll see that they're usually not displaying everything there. So you can expand on this. So say you want to know what kind of tasks they do. This has only 15 of them, and now here I hit the plus button and I get all 17 of them. So if I only saw those first ones, I would be like, okay, they, prepare budgets and records and stuff like that. But if I show all 17, you'll notice that there are things that go way down here, like preparing manuals, which is more of a writing activity over there. Report to management, right, which is another writing activity. So you might see more writing activities in the tasks. You can also, here in knowledge, you may say, oh, English language is one of the knowledge skills required here. And again, you can expand these to all of the skills over here. I also think this is really cool. Work activities and detailed work activities. You can see the sort of things that they actually do according to this survey that they conduct. Again, you can see as you expand this, there's going to be a lot more writing type things. Communicating with supervisors, right? That's going to be a good one. Teaching others, that's going to be another one. Even here, work context, 99% of accountants do email every day, right? That's pretty cool. You could also see there are usually some other ones here that relate to writing, contact with others, letters and memos, right? So you can see a lot of these relate to writing that you can use in your background information. So it might be very useful to say 99% of accountants do email every day, while only 41 write letters or memos at least once a month, but not every week. So email is a lot more important than memos, right? So that's the kind of thing that you could put in your background information if you were writing about accountancy. Now, another great website that I love is BLS. And so how you'll get to this, I've jumped ahead a little bit here. So you go to bls.gov, and they have something called the Occupational Outlook Handbook. So if you just go to the main website and then scroll down, you can also just Google BLS OOH, or you can go from our course guide. Remember that course guides are found on the library website. So 3 ways you can find this. When you go to the Occupational Outlook Handbook, you can just do another search. Again, let's just put an accountant. And just like with ONET, you'll find that there are different, descriptions of accounting. So actual accountants, accounting clerks, accountants and auditors, right? So this is the one that we want. And again, this will give some good background information. These tabs will give you deeper information. So what do they do? And you can see here in the what do they do, it gets in a lot more depth about the sorts of things that they do. How to become one, and work environment also will give you some more broad picture. So here's another broad survey. 25% of accountants work in accounting, tax prep, bookkeeping, and payroll services, right? Like that's a big chunk. Whereas there's some other real small ones that work in government or insurance and things like that. So you can sort of see where this background is coming and what they look like in a broad sense. So all of these resources, the BLS Occupational Outlook Handbook, ONET, even these articles that we find from the library, all of these are secondary resources. And they're all the sort of thing that you really want to make sure that you put in the background information of your report. These are going to provide triangulation with your original research, with your primary research. So if you interview one person and they say, for example, I write letters and memos every day, you can say, based off of this secondary research, they're unusual if they write letters and emails every day, because most of the respondents on ONET did not. So it can just give you additional checks on your primary research that can be very useful in providing a richer description. Now, wherever you find this information, whether you find it on the BLS website or here or anywhere, you're really going to want to make sure that you cite it appropriately. And we have additional information about plagiarism in this unit, but whether it's a website, whether it's an article, make sure that you cite it, and make sure that you cite it consistently, which leads to the last website that I want to show you, the OWL at Purdue. This is a gold mine. Many people are really familiar with it, but the OWL at Purdue has all kinds of writing resources and citation resources. So usually you can just Google this, but you can decide if you're doing APA style, for example, or Chicago style, any of these styles. It will have all of the types of formatting you need for that style. So whether you're doing a book or you're doing an electronic source, right, it will show you how to do those references. How do you do something from a database? So that would be like ONET would be a great database, for example. Or maybe it's a newspaper article. Or what's another one that you're likely to have? A graph, maybe. So you can see all of these different ways that you can cite something here. And they give you a huge range of citation options. So pretty much anything you need to find, you'll be able to find at the OWL at Purdue website. So again, you can usually just Google this, Purdue OWL, OWL, Online Writing Lab, and find the citation style that's appropriate for you or that your group wants to do. I'm not particular. If you choose to do MLA or APA, either of those is fine as long as you're doing it consistently. And that is secondary research. If you have questions, do feel free to ask me. You can also, like I said, ask a librarian. They are eager to help you. Don't feel like you're wasting your time if you chat or text them. This is what they're waiting to do. They sit there waiting for people to contact them. So please do reach out for them. If you have questions about whether a source is appropriate for this assignment, you can talk to librarians about it and send them a copy of what this assignment is. You could also talk to the Writing Center, or you could contact me. Drop me an email, send me a link if you're not sure if it's a good resource, if it fits in with what you're trying to do. All right, good luck.